friends, family, faculty and staff, students, to the 106th Annual Chazy Class Day. I'd like to thank Mr. McAuliffe, Murnane Building, Dow Electric, and the Schoolhouse Construction Company for the fantastic job they did on this new auditorium, even if it's not quite finished yet. Today's a day that all of us have looked back on or looked forward to for the past 13 years. I remember sitting in that exact seat right there, watching previous seniors go through their class days, wishing my time would come sooner, but I know it sounds cliche, but as I stand up here, the only thing I wish I could do is go back to a time when the only thing we had to worry about is what time recess was at, or who's bringing in what for snacks. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your days to come out here and join us for our class day and support our class today and always. Thank you. So without further ado, I would like you to join us in celebrating our class history while looking forward to our futures.
The history of the class of 2025. In kindergarten, our teachers were Miss Rumbers and Miss Doe. This year, our class included Michael Akey,
do unto others as they've done to you.
Parker Baker,
You can't fix stupid.
Sophie Barcomb, one cannot be brave who has no fear. Patrick Raychard,
Nostalgia is proof you're living a life to be proud of. What a privilege it is to yearn for your own memories.
Benjamin Belliard West,
Try not to become someone of success, but rather try to become someone of value.
Astor Bernard, Quinn Braun, one day your life will flash before your eyes. Make sure it's worth watching. Courtney Collins,
Spend a little more time trying to make something of yourself and a little less time trying to impress others.
Kennedy Columbus,
You may not recognize it yet, but you possess the hope that many seek.
Caitlin Harvey,
Embrace the journey, not the destination.
Kobe Hernandez,
Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Melanie Hurst,
You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep.
Novak Jarris,
Shoot for the stars, and if you miss, you die in space, which is still pretty cool.
Jocelyn Juno,
Do
Do you know what the happiest animal on earth is? It's the goldfish. It's got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish. Haley Kelch.
Every time I fell, I got back up, even if it took a while.
Carly Lapierre.
Everything is going to be okay. Everything is fine.
Isabella Marsden.
As the singer Lana Del Rey once said, I'm kind of focused on being a baddie right now.
Christopher Pilon.
Thank you to everyone that has picked me up when I've fallen down.
Gabrielle Brodolakis.
People change and things go wrong, but just remember, life goes on.
Avery Rotella.
There's no statute of limitations on starting over. Reinvent yourself every day and let go of the idea that you must always be who you have always been.
Brooke Stevens.
It's Not That Deep by Mariah Trahan.
Ethan Sterling.
Life isn't too short, but parts of it are, so make the most of them while you can.
Oliver Stoddard.
If you don't do it this year, you'll be 1 year older when you do.
Mariah Trahan.
Don't be sad it's over, be happy it happened.
Maddox Tyndall.
Plan A, make a lot of money at my job. Plan B, go to Las Vegas.
Elijah Valentin.
You never value a moment until it becomes a memory.
Hudson Zeal.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find true strength.
Owen Poyer also joined our class.
We miss you, Owen. God will not forgotten. Fly high. This year, we went to Applejack's Orchard.
This year, we went to Applejack's Orchard to pick apples and pumpkins and visited Pioneer Farm. Many parents came to our school for Thanksgiving luncheon. This year, the girls wore tiaras to school. The 2 weeks before Izzy's birthday, she wore a different crown each day, each one bigger and with more jewels than the last. During calendar one morning, Ben told the class that his uncle saw a gravy fox and that he saw it watching him get on the bus. We thought he meant gray fox, but he meant what he said. We got to visit with Santa at the residence, which was Mr. Tregan's house at the time. Courtney ran out of Barbie dolls to cut their hair, so she cut her own underneath a table in Miss Thune's class. We celebrated with our families with a Mother's Day tea and a Father's Day kickball. One June day, Kobe got caught in a chair as he was going headfirst through the back. He was stuck and the substitute teacher could not get him out. Miss Levine and Mr. Tregan were called. Finally, Mr. McComb, a maintenance worker, was able to get Kobe out by removing the top of the chair. For an end of the year trip, we spent a day having fun at Point of Rush, even though it rained most of the day. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Gabby Rodolakis.
In first grade, our teachers were Mrs. Favreau and Mrs. Fubor. This year, we visited the Chazy orchard. In October, we took a trip to the Little Red Schoolhouse for Minor Day. We experienced what it was like to attend school in the 1800s. We couldn't believe kids had to go to the bathroom outside in a shed. Friendships this year include Owen and Ben, as well as Kennedy and Pender. One of the big fashion statements this year was cowboy boots. In December, we worked for 2 days constructing gingerbread houses. We ate lots of candy and had some belly aches. Kim was our official nurse goer. She went to the nurse every day. Caitlin was the official mail person. She loved to put mail in mailboxes. Izzy loved wearing her headbands and sometimes would wear a tiara or a crown, just like last year. In June, we put on a play entitled Friendly Neighborhood Helpers. It was about giving our neighborhood a hand. We played the roles of firefighters, chefs, doctors, and more. In June, we also had a great time at the 1812 homestead. It was a beautiful weather day. Unfortunately, Quinn fell and hurt her leg. Her dad made her a crutch, and Mrs. Cooper and her dad walked Quinn back up the hill to the trail. I'll now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Jocelyn Juno.
riding a bunny, except the bike was on fire, the ground was on fire, everything was on fire, so it wasn't easy at all.
Our field trips this year included visiting Echo, the teddy bear factory. Our bear's name was Magic, and seeing slapstick science. Some of the books we enjoyed reading this year include James and the Giant Peach, Tub People, Rough-Faced Girl, Annecy, Jingle Dancer Cowboys Firefighter, Helen Keller, and One Dark Night. We made a spider web out of yarn on the first day of school. We popped balloons as a reward for good behavior. On May 27, 2015, we took a trip to Echo in Vermont. We had a great day together. Maddox dressed as a frog. Ben forgot his lunchbox on the bus. Mrs. Langlois hiked through the streets of Burlington looking for the bus so she could get his lunch. We made a book called Second Grade Is. We launched rockets while studying space. Mr. McAuliffe was our mystery reader. On June 12, 2015, we did a great job on our wax museum. We portrayed everyone from George Washington to Mrs. Minor. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Kennedy Columbus. grade, our teachers were Mrs. Favreau and Mr. Dupree. This year, we took a walk to the cemetery across the street to see miners too. We had math competitions every Friday. However, Mrs. Favrow's class was not very successful. Melanie broke her arm at school. Shortly after getting her cast removed, she broke her finger. Both times she was in a cast on her right hand. We learned about perimeter by walking around the school. The perimeter of the school is bigger than we thought it was. Ben and Ethan did the worm on the floor all the time. We collected books at Christmas to donate to Journey into Reading. Mr. Robert Cheeseman came in every Friday to help out with our reading. Our favorite book this year was Witches by Roald Dahl. Kobe often had a hard time walking in the hallway. He tended to run into things and kids because he couldn't seem to face forward. In March, we put on a musical called Munchkin's Meditation. Many people had solos and did an amazing job. The play was a big success. Carly, who was as tall as Mr. Dupree, was known as the queen of the zip line. In June, we went to All Sable Chasm, and during the boat ride, Ethan jumped out and swam the rest of the way. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Courtney Collins.
In fourth grade, our teachers were Miss Walsh and Mr. Tregan. In May, we were joined by Connor Cross.
My work is never done.
This was the year for Chazy. Our class got yellow t-shirts and we did activities with our sister 8th grade class on minor day. Mr. Dandro pushed into our class every day for math and we loved her. Though Michael never smiled in math class, Miss Dandro worked on him all year and got him smiling by the end. Melanie and Avery both read the whole Harry Potter series. This was quite a feat. We went on a class trip to Titus Mountain in January. For many of us, it was our first time on skis. Miss Walsh spent the day picking up children off the ground. It was a challenge at first, but by afternoon, everyone was skiing independently and having a great time. Oliver brought up clementine oranges for snacks every day. At the end of the year, he found 3 dried up old clementines in the back of his desk. Everyone called Elijah Roby. He was very well liked. We enjoyed going to see pottery and the arts at Plattsburgh State. The boys liked eating worms at recess. Carly was known as the Little Giant. We went to the Wild Center for our end of the year class trip. Everyone loved it. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Novak Jaris.
Fifth grade. Our teachers were Miss Sutherland and Mrs. Lemare. Parker Baker rejoined our class. Michael kept most of his smiles to himself this year, but he did break out once in a while. Connor was super quiet at the beginning of the year, but was often in trouble for talking by the end of the year. Chris would always whine, "Is that homework?" every time Miss Sutherland picked up any stack of papers. Some of the boys drew their hair long. Elijah could not stop playing with his hair. Mrs. Lemare threatened to use a beret to keep it out of his face. We read Thief Lord as a class and really enjoyed it. We also read Esperanza Rising and had a party with many of the food from the story and a piñata. We won a compliment party and chose to go swimming in the school pool. We had a blast. We sold stars for Make-A-Wish in the mall. Heads Up was a favorite game with those who had lunch with Mrs. Lemare. Field trips this year included visiting the Minor Transportation Museum, Minor Farm Days, and the Shelburne Museum. We went to Minor Farm Day. Many of us put our hands inside of an officiated cow. Kobe almost did, but jumped out at the last minute, and Callie was not interested in participating at all. Miss Wise, our band teacher, said she received one of the most thoughtful gifts just before Christmas break, when Kennedy provided her with an essential oils remedy for headaches to use after trumpet lessons. There were many dating dramas throughout the year. Most notable were the winter breakup of Mariah Novak, and Caitlin riding home from Shelburne Museum with her mother so she could ride the bus home with Elijah. The highlight of this year was getting Chromebooks. We loved playing Kahoot and Quizlet, though Ben forgot his Chromebook. One day, Ben came up to Mrs. Lemaire saying he needed to get his Chromebook. She looked right at him, laughed, and said, "Ben, it's in your hand." Parker would get easily upset when having to make corrections, especially in math. Mrs. Lemaire would always say, "There's no crying in math." We presented a year in review to K through 6 as our class presentation in June and did a fabulous job. Michael was the first to volunteer for a solo singing part in our presentation. We all cheered for him. Mrs. Lemaire and Miss Sullivan were so surprised they almost wept. He performed with Melanie and Maddox, and they did a great job. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Brooke Stevens.
In 6th grade, our teachers were Mrs. Lambert and Mrs. Gushloff. Gabby and Pender would practice their flips during recess. We went to Camp Pocomacrady in October. We did the teams course and the crux, which was the climbing tower. Everyone had fun despite the rain. Callie announced that she liked math lessons once or twice this year. Ben asked Hudson in November whose homeroom he was in. Hudson told Ben that they were in the same room and even sat next to each other. Maddox constantly left his belongings, including his papers, instrument, and books, and would never pick them up. Mr. Patnode has verified that this continues to this day in the high school library. Oliver, Kennedy, Avery, and Melanie helped to write and produce the 6th grade newscast. Mrs. Lambert brought rocks back from her trip to Arizona. We soon realized while attempting to identify the rocks that they were just candy. Chris always ran to the wheelie chair, and Mrs. Gushlow would constantly tell him to go back and walk. Novak, Ethan, and Elijah all had long hair this year, just like Mrs. Lumaire's the previous year. Mrs. Gushlow would frequently ask Elijah to stop playing with his hair. Parker would take each math question extremely literally and ask in-depth questions. Haley liked to be a leader and was very good at taking charge of the class. Avery and Melanie would somehow always incorporate Harry Potter into their weekly vocabulary words. Izzy confessed that she still had part of the piñata from the Esperanza Rising party the year prior. After learning to play the heavy crash cymbals for a march piece in the band, Pender said, "That was harder than recess." Caitlin always made sure the classroom was neat and tidy and asked Mrs. Gushlow if she could help in any way. Kobe dyed his hair blonde and wore it in a ponytail on top of his head for Grandparents' Day. Sophie made a house out of index cards for a ladybug she found during ELA. We went to an environmental field day at the Clinton County Fairgrounds. We did many presentations this year, including the periodic table of elements, Greek gods, balloon cars, chemical reactions, and the CCRS newscast, along with Fun Day. We returned to Camp Pocomacrady in June. The weather this time was gorgeous. We all hiked Rattlesnake Mountain and did the low ropes course. Our theme for Fun Day was rhyme time. After Fun Day, we complained that the kids didn't listen, they didn't follow directions, and that we often had to repeat ourselves. Mrs. Gushlow and Mrs. Lambert laughed. Owen said that no teacher ever had that experience with our class because as 6th graders, we were angels. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Callie Schwartz.
Over the summer, Carly would always be at Izzy's house swimming while Izzy sat on the deck sunbathing and recording Carly for Instagram. Caitlin, Brooke, and Izzy and Haley were at Blue Haven Campground, hanging out when it started pouring rain. Haley said, "Let's play Ring Around the Rosie." All the girls did while getting absolutely soaked. After a while, the girls decided to go back to their campers. On the way back, Caitlin decided to lie in puddles on the road. On the first day of school, everyone Everyone had an idea of where the classrooms were, but for Gabby, she did not. She had to follow everyone around while her heart was beating at 1,000 miles a minute. Miss Wise couldn't stop laughing at Melanie's comments during the pep band for homecoming. Melanie said, "Welcome to pep band, where you can't tell the difference between spit or rain," after emptying her spit valve. She was also heard saying, "Homecoming is great. It combines my three most favorite things: soccer, playing music, and food." The whole English class loved the vocabulary word brackish. We learned it in English, and we used the word every single chance we got. At dance class, Jocelyn's mom showed a picture of Novak's new haircut to Caitlin, Jocelyn, and Quinn. They all started texting him right away. Later, during class, Quinn was laughing, trying to do the dance but fell. We all laughed for the rest of the class. Novak, Elijah, Hudson, Maddox, Parker, Ben, Oliver, Owen, Kobe, and Chris would always have roast battles and sing girly songs on the soccer bus rides. Avery seemed to always forget her flute for band, but she never would go back to her locker to get it. Instead, she would always borrow a flute from the back and secretly look at Izzy's music. With her luck, she didn't get caught often. Queen got her first phone this year and went on a spree of adding everyone and their parents on Facebook, Snapchat, and any other social media platform she had. While many of the junior high students are going through their growth spurts, Ben had not hit his yet. During his band lessons, one of his classmates reminded him of this, saying, "Why is your stand-up so high? You're not that tall, Ben." Ben responded with, "I am that tall. I'm that tall at heart." He would eventually get his growth spurt. He has always had a huge heart and still does. Maddox and Ethan were always so fascinated with Mr. Thompson's magic card tricks, and they would always stay after class at least once a week to watch more tricks and attempt to figure out how he did it. After all, Mr. Thompson is the master of magic tricks and confusing our brains. Mariah and Melanie were running late to band, so they had to grab their stuff and head downstairs. The problem was Mariah was wearing heels. She tripped and slid down 3 steps, never dropping her trumpet folder or books. Jocelyn might be the first person to ever pull a muscle during band class. Excited to answer a question, Jocelyn raised her arm forcefully and then quickly put it down in a squeamish look of pain on her face. While holding her side, she looked at Miss Wise, and Miss Wise asked Jocelyn if she was okay, and she had just pulled her side muscle. Jocelyn just smiled and shook her head yes. Connor and Michael always watched Family Guy during lunch. At one of our class meetings for a winter weekend in Izzy's basement, Courtney told Owen to start dancing. He did so quite enthusiastically. The world went into quarantine on March 15th. We did the rest of the school year via Google Meets. In one Google Meet, Oliver texted Jocelyn, "Ohio is where?" And she responded, "Ohio, Texas," and didn't stop laughing for about 15 minutes. On our last Google Meet for English class, we did a scavenger hunt around our houses. We had to race back with the object and type it into the chat, and whoever was the fastest won a prize. We think this was the most fun exercise any of us had gotten during quarantine. Avery's mom made a black and white t-shirts for our whole class that said 7th grade, the year we were quarantined. She made a collage of all our pictures together for the shirts. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Melanie Hurst.
8th grade. Hayden Clay joined our class. This year was a hybrid year for school, which meant we had classes in person and on Google Meets. Some classes did school via Google Meets, or some classmates did school via Google Meets for the whole year. Izzy and Carly would often put on a show for classmates at home, which included props, dialogue, and sometimes dancing. During most of this year in French, we focused mainly on ER verbs. We would go around saying them until we couldn't think of anything anymore, or we just needed examples of such. Every time Oliver was called on to participate, we all knew the only word that would come out of his mouth was going to be skier. Every day during in-person learning, Connor and Michael would keep the class entertained with their talk of politics, videos, and meme videos. When we were in school online, Maddox once finished his read and react just minutes before Mr. Cross came to his house to pick it up. Carly brought canned raviolis for lunch most days. She ate them cold straight out of the can, even though she received offers to warm them up. She still eats canned raviolis to this day. Everyone called Sophie Super Bowl since her initials are SB. Hudson, Novak, Parker, Ben, Owen, and Brooke had daily picnics in the school's courtyard. During one of the softball team's first games, Kendra went up to bat. She did a great job of hitting the ball, but afterward, the release on her bat ended up swinging out of her hands and into her own team's dugout. Kobe started racing this year, and every weekend, Haley and Callie were there to support him. Caitlin decided to go snowboarding for her first time in hopes that Ben would be a good teacher for her. This was not the case. Ben's GoPro footage is proof. In Mrs. Smith's ELA class, we read the play Romeo and Juliet. Afterwards, we watched the live-action film. Callie was always gawking at the sight of young Leonardo DiCaprio. Miss Penfield gets so excited about algebra, she would sing songs in class. Kobe and Chris one day went on a bike ride, and Kobe tried stopping. He flew over his handlebars and fell off in the middle of the road. One time in math class with Mr. Thompson, when Christopher was a minute late for class, Mr. Thompson said, "Chris, this is what we were working on," and flipped to a slide that said, "Waiting on Chris." The entire class burst out laughing. Kennedy was super excited when she realized that Carly and her basketball and softball jersey numbers spelled their graduation year, 2025. Just making sure. Melanie showed all 23 Avengers movies to Avery. When they got to Avengers Endgame, which is basically the finale, Melanie cried more than Avery, even though she had seen it multiple times before. Jocelyn made herself a boyfriend out of a broom and grew a face and mustache. She also taped a hanger to him and then hung a shirt on it with his own little name tag saying, "Hello, my name's Jeremy." Eden cooked eggs while on a Google Meet. Carly and Melanie played Minecraft almost every weekend. Carly did all the important stuff, like mining, fighting, and getting food, while Melanie picked flowers and built roller coasters. Melanie would always end up dying in Minecraft while Carly was building a house. In May, Melanie got addicted to the school's ham sandwiches. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Carly Lapierre.
Ninth grade. This year, we were joined by Caleb Lapham,
The only thing truly absolute is that there is no absolute, and not even that is absolute.
Amelia Rosa, life is short, live passionately, and feel happiness. Mariah, Pender, Izzy, and Carly came up with a friend group name called the Kimps from their first initials. This same group of friends liked playing hide and seek outside at Mariah's house. Since Mariah is very scared of the dark and being outside alone, this didn't go very well. Novak, Ethan, Parker, and Ben would play chess in the library almost every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during 5th period. Ben would usually win. Novak and Maddox would also play chess in the library every 8th period before practice. Mariah, Carly, Izzy, and Pender went to Hudson's house and played with his new puppies. They decided to give the dogs names. In this same visit, a ball hit Mariah on the knee, which ended up hitting a candle. Then the candle wax went all over Hudson's house. Jocelyn, Hayden, and Callie will never forget the day that a bee decided to fly into Mr. Cross's 7th period class. This bee was so distracting that no one could focus on the lesson. Mr. Cross noticed and decided the best way to get rid of the bee was to throw a history book at the window the bee landed on. When Owen was going up to present his Renaissance presentation, Mariah dared him to bow after he was done with the presentation. He did. Caleb enjoyed talking with Parker, who always made him laugh. Pender couldn't stop laughing at lunch when Izzy made a funny joke while Pender was drinking water and accidentally spit it out all over Carly and Mariah. They were soaking with water while Izzy and Pender were completely fine. Callie and Haley got locked outside while doing recycling. Oliver said, "I got mugged last night by porcupine in the woods." During square dancing in French class, Oliver and Novak were partners. Novak said, "Oliver, you smell like Texas Roadhouse, and that's a good thing." It was always very intense when Melanie and the rest of the class played Blookett's Gold Rush in Mr. Miller's Earth Science class. Everyone was crying, screaming, and yelling at each other because we kept stealing dough from each other after Melanie won for the 10th time in a row. Ethan, Maddox, Elijah, Hudson, and Parker started a Minecraft server they played on for weeks. Oliver asked, "Who stole the lead from this pen?" Kennedy replied, "Pen?" While at an away basketball game, Kennedy and Avery almost got left in the bathroom at the McDonald's and had to run after the bus. Carly was on her way to history class with a couple of her friends, including Jocelyn and Kennedy. As she was going down the small stairs before the big staircase, the front part of her shoe got caught on the third step down. This caused her to fall down the remaining steps. Jocelyn wasn't able to do anything because she was laughing so hard. In the end, Carly was fine and was able to continue her journey to history class. On the weekends, when the weather was getting nicer, Izzy would invite several people to what they called gazebo parties. This usually included Carly, Mariah, Pender, Izzy, Elijah, Novak, Ethan, Parker, and Hudson hanging out in Izzy's outdoor gazebo, swimming and having fun. After several softball games, Sophie was left to ride the bus home all alone because everyone went home with their parents. She would beg people to ride the bus with her. One time, after a softball and baseball game, Parker spent $40 on chocolate milk and McChickens. In Cooperstown for baseball, Novak was in a room with Elijah and Kate in Columbus. They played wiffle ball in the hotel room. After the last band concert, Oliver, Kennedy, Melanie, Mariah, Ben, Avery, Owen Cap, and Hadley Lucas got funny hats from the Drama Club collection backstage and wore them around and ate ice cream in the cafeteria. In June, Hudson, Ethan, Owen, Mariah, Carly, and Pender went to Novak's house for a sleepover. They played Monopoly and went swimming in Novak's pool. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Sophie Barcomb. 10th grade. This year, we were joined by Frederick Reed.
Say hello to new opportunities and goodbye to the past.
On the very first day that Fred came to Chazy, he was so lost in the school that he somehow ended up in the elementary area. Someone from the staff found him and got him to where he needed to be. Jocelyn invited Mariah, Carly, and a few other people to the Great Escape Fright Fest. After a few rides, the group decided to go into one of the haunted houses. Mariah got scared so bad she fell over and ended up peeing her pants. She had to buy new pants. When Melanie, Oliver, Gabby, and Kennedy had a study hall together, they would go around in support of Oliver on a mission to find the best tasting water fountain in the school. When learning about Gandhi, the class made a rhyme about Gandhi on a plane and Gandhi on a train. Izzy made a slideshow with all of Gandhi's actions for Mr. Cross. One night, Novak, Elijah, Hudson, and Ethan were all staying the night at Maddox's house. When Hudson was sleeping, Ethan took the liberty to pour some honey mustard on Hudson's face. Hudson opened his eyes and stood up slowly. Went over to Ethan and gave him a slap. Hudson then went back to bed with mustard still on his face. During the ski trip with the ski club, Izzy, Jocelyn, and Gabby went down the mountain together. As they were getting on the ski lift, they each had spots on the chair. When the lift came around, Izzy sat in Gabby's seat, and then Gabby sat on Izzy's lap and fell off the chair. The operator had to stop and lift Gabby and stop the lift and help Gabby up. She then had to wait for the next chair. Novak decided to shave his legs. Unfortunately, he forgot to shave the back of his quads. It was a bad day for him to wear shorts. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Izzy Marsden.
11th grade. Over the summer, while Caitlin worked at Creamies, many people came to visit her. Ben and Owen came to almost all of her shifts. Owen would take her tip money every time to buy himself 1 and sometimes 2 root beer floats. Callie, Jocelyn, Courtney, Izzy, Carly, Sophie, and Gabby would have a pool party almost every day in the summer. Every time they would tell Carly to put on sunscreen so she wouldn't get sunburned. However, she never did. Carly would always get sunburned, and Courtney, Sophie, and Gabby would always tell her, "We told you so." Courtney and Sophie would then have to spread layers of aloe on Carly's back. Courtney, Sophie, and Gabby always used to get biggie bags from Wendy's. Over the summer, Gabby couldn't go with them because she just had surgery. Sophie and Courtney went to Plattsburgh and got biggie bags and brought them back to Gabby's house. The 3 ate them on Gabby's bed while watching TV. On National Donut Day, Mariah, Caitlin, and Ben downed 36 donuts in 5 minutes. Courtney had a blonde streak in her hair, and Gabby and Sophie called her Anna from Frozen. Every time they saw her, Gabby and Sophie would go, "Elsa, knock, 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 knock." Kennedy and Jocelyn took a ski trip together. The only problem was that it took them an hour to get down their first run because Kennedy fell, which resulted in her sliding down the mountain face first on her stomach. Kennedy was okay, but Jocelyn could not stop laughing. At a Crown Point softball game, the bus got stuck in the mud after the game, and the teams had to manually push out the bus. Fred was in the library with Parker and Michael, and he was supposed to ask Mr. Patnode if he could stay in the library for study hall. Fred went up to talk to Mr. Patnode before immediately getting distracted by seeing a brownie for sale. He bought the brownie and sat back down with his group, totally forgetting to ask Mr. Patnode anything. Jocelyn has experienced 4 Big Time Rush concerts in different states. Jocelyn continues her search for more concerts. During the after-prom party at school, Quinn was snoring so loudly that no one else could sleep in the library. I will now turn the reading over to my friend and classmate, Ethan Sterling.
Twelfth grade. This year, we were joined by Cody Lennon and Rose Stewart.
Every accomplishment starts with the decision to try.
One time, Sophie went to Carly's camp, and the two went fishing at 10 p.m. They used flashlights to find the fish in the water, and then cast their lures right in front of them. They targeted one fish for around an hour, but had no luck catching it. Caitlin, Elijah, Novak, Mariah, Brooke, Stephanie, Callie, and Landon went to Happy Pike for ice cream. Novak jokingly said he was leaving everyone there, but then he actually did. After a while of driving by, Novak finally let everyone in his car. Caitlin and Callie sat in the trunk with the trunk door open the way down to the lake. Carly came to Sophie's camp, and it was raining, so they had nothing to do. Sophie asked Carly if she wanted to play Uno, but all she said was, and then went silent for like 5 minutes. Sophie then asked if she was going to respond. They both started laughing because Carly forgot that she had to answer Sophie. Courtney, Jocelyn, Sophie, Carly, and Gabby were so addicted to playing a game called Good Pizza, Great Pizza, that Carly brought her iPad to school so she could play. Courtney stayed addicted way longer than the rest of them, and is now on day 200 in the game. At the beginning of soccer season, Callie was leaving practice and saw Ben walking down the road, so she offered him a ride. She didn't know that Ben had a snake in his pocket. When Ben put the snake on her arm, it fell between the seats in the car. Callie drove all the way home to her house with the snake crawling around in the car. She was terrified of it. While discussing Quinn's senior superlative, Quinn started talking about her lunch. Courtney told Quinn to spell shells, and Quinn proceeded to spell shells, S-H-E-E-L-S. This reminded everyone when Quinn was asked to spell drum during the spelling bee competition in junior high. She spelled it D-R-U-M-B. Gabby, Courtney, Carly, Izzy, and Melanie, Jocelyn, and Sophie played sardines outside of Gabby's house on her birthday. Courtney and Sophie were the only ones left looking for everyone, and they knew that everyone was in the horse barn, but they were too scared to go back because they called it Art the Clown's Barn. They texted the group chat and they gave up. When everyone came back, Courtney and Sophie hid behind a bush and proceeded to scare them. At a slumber party at Novak's house with Maddox, Ethan, Elijah, and Hudson and Novak, Novak cracked 2 eggs on Hudson's face while he was sleeping. When Hudson got up, Novak ran away scared. This resulted in a 2-hour manhunt where Maddox helped Novak hide behind a freezer and then in the bathroom. While Novak was in the bathroom, Ethan and Hudson tried to gas him out with Old Spice body spray. Courtney and Gabby went to Starbucks. As Courtney was pulling into the spot, she said, "I think I'm good." As she said that, she hit the building. Luckily, there was no damage and the girls got their coffee. However, in the first 2 weeks with his car, Novak hit his shed and his sister's basketball. The dents are still there. For Halloween, we had fun creating a pumpkin patch in the library, featuring our pumpkin characters and ones we painted with elementary students. While performing our senior play, Cafe Murder, thank you, at the Sacred Heart Church Hall, Melanie fell up the stairs because she didn't realize just how dark it would be without any lights for the scene changes. We all started laughing. We added lights in the window sets for safety. During the girls' semifinal softball game against Bolton, a ball was hit in the outfield straight to Jocelyn. As she was running, ready to catch the ball, she did not seem to see the giant hill sticking up off the ground. So instead of having a clean catch, Jocelyn ended up on the ground with the ball lying next to her head. Everyone started laughing, including Jocelyn. The class dedicated its yearbook to Miss Ball. The next day we went rafting on the Hudson River with her for our senior trip. We wish her a most happy and well-deserved retirement. This concludes the class history of 2025.
being a little plump and look at the phone and everything.
Where does this start? There does go. Put this all like backwards.
It's sticky end.
Yeah, what are you on that? Where it starts?
Make sure you look for it though. I usually put on the first one. I'm too busy working, but.
Are you not thankful?
Wow!
You can almost see what's inside.
I'm looking for my friends. I'm looking for you. There's Gabriella.
Classmates, come and gather here, so we may look into the spirit. We shall look into the ball that holds the future of us all. It tells us what we are to be, so listen while we look and see.
There's a programmer named Gabby with skill, who studies behavior until she solves FBI cases, then seeks ocean places, where waves help her mind to be still.
There once was a girl named Melanie, whose future was quite hard to see. She wondered each day what life had to say, but smiled at what might come to be. There was a young guardsman named Michael. In Vermont, his job quite vital. He drove transport trucks, fixed engines with pluck. As mechanic, his skills were delightful.
There once was a teacher named Quinn, who taught little kids with a grin. In the Southwest she'd stay, teaching letters each day, helping kindergarten kids to begin.
There's a dreamer named Dizzy So Bright, who sees fashion in New York's spotlight. With 5 cats in her home, and love's not alone, making runway dreams sparkle at night.
There once was a fellow named Fred, who dreamed big thoughts in his head, to make TV shows and a house that glows, with dreams that kept pushing ahead.
There once was a student named Avery, who worked with skill and much bravery. Through vet school she went, her time well spent, now helps animals daily and gracefully.
There once was a girl named Pender, whose beach life got grander and grander. With spouse and little pup, life's joy bubbled up, and Florida's shores went splendor.
There once was a racer named Cody, who raced around the world like a pro. He sped past every zone, left rivals alone, and won championships. That's our Cody.
There once was a girl named Courtney, who dreamed of a life that was homey, with dogs and some goats, and softball team hopes, plus books in her shed, living cozy.
There once was a nurse named Caitlin, who helped bring new babies in smiling. On her Texas ranch wide, where her horses reside, while delivering babies, she's styling.
There once was a Parker down south, who worked HVAC without a doubt. With Caden they'd fix air systems and tricks, while earning good money throughout. There once was a girl named young Carly, who dreamed of helping folks dearly, with psych on her mind, and a cat so refined, and a home with her loved ones so clear.
There once was a student named Ethan, whose med school's dreams wouldn't weaken. He studied all night, till dawn's early light, now a doctor is what he's seeking.
There once was a nurse named Haley, who dreamed of what her life could be. In pediatrics she'll shine, helping patients feel fine, a registered nurse she will be.
There once was our Novak so free, who lived in the state of Tennessee, with kids playing hockey on ice, and cars that looked nice, with Lulu attire you see.
There once was a girl named Rose, who lived down south where warm wind blows, with 7 pet cats all purring on mats, while family love round her flows.
There once was a fellow named Connor, who dreamed of great things with honor. His house would be neat, his truck would be sweet, as he worked hard to be a top earner.
There once was a girl named Sophie, who worked by the deep rolling sea. She'd rescue each seal, help dolphins to heal, making ocean friends happy and free.
There once was a fellow named Caleb, who preferred his own space as his payload. He stayed in with pride, found peace deep inside. Now his future looks bright down the road.
There once was a Kennedy so bold, who fought justice with heart pure as gold. In her mansion so grand, with pets close at hand, and a love story sweet to behold.
There once was a fellow named Ben, who invested again and again. In AI he'd pour his funds more and more, as his profits grew past what they had been. There once was a trooper named Callie, who lived by a lake, not an alley, with 2 faithful hounds on New York State grounds, where she and her spouse lived so happily.
Young Maddox had a dream oh so grand, a future he uniquely planned. No more fast food pay, he found his own way, and a career where he'd proudly stand.
There once was a girl named Amelia, who dreamed of a future that'll heal you. With a home for the past, her plans unsurpassed, to comfort those who would need her.
There once was a man named Elijah, who sailed his yacht, what a pleasure. His hot wife by his side, on the blue rolling tide, made his life filled with joy beyond measure.
There once was a girl named Jocelyn who trained athletes her passion was calling. She married a star, and loved by far, while Big Time Rush kept her heart soaring.
There once was a young fellow named Chris, on a yacht with his pals, pure bliss. Down the coast they did sail, with the wind in their tail, as California's shores they'd not miss.
There once was a scholar named Mariah, whose NHL spouse made her a flyer. With dogs, King and Zeus, both Dobermans loose, in Texas, her PhD's fire.
There once was a student named Hudson, whose future was yet undiscovered. His dreams were so bright, he worked day and night, and success was what he uncovered.
There once was a woman named Brooke, who built her own house by the book. With cats and a kid, her psych work she did, a life full of joy undertook.
Young Oliver dwelled in the heights, with his family and dog scaling mountainous sights. They'd ski every day and joyfully play, making memories on those peaks of delights.
Now that we've told you what the future will bring, let's hope that we've covered almost everything. Now everything has left our view. We hope our predictions will all come true.
To the President, we present this gavel so you can lead the class with authority and respect.
To the Vice President, we present the Constitution so you can uphold the bylaws of Chazy Central Rural School.
To the Secretary, we give the lecture to record the important notes of your senior year.
To the Treasurer, we present the coffer to collect funds to finance your senior year.
Moving on after high school is something every student in this room wants to achieve. Many are excited to leave our small town and start building their own life, whether that means going to college, entering the workforce, or maybe even traveling the country. But here today are the seniors, who over the next few months actually have to start that life. And yes, there is a lot of excitement, but there can also be a feeling of dismay. High school for the class of 2025 is now a completed puzzle. You build that experience and part of your life piece by piece. But you are also the puzzle pieces. As you got closer to the end, you became more tightly bonded to your peers. Suddenly, the things that were considered big deals weren't so big, and you were able to tolerate each other. Nothing now is about just making it to graduation, but rather, let's enjoy this for as long as possible. And sure, some of you might just still be waiting for this to end, but every one of you must have had some fun along the way. As my class watches you all prepare for graduation and beyond, we take time to think about the impacts your parents had on us. We all can recall at least a few times when we heard some of you still complaining about assignments that you had after we brought them up, or when you warned us about upcoming tests or gave us rides to practice when we couldn't drive. Those moments don't seem important at the time, but it is how relationships were formed between our grades. These are the small things that matter. In the end, people won't necessarily remember the grades you had or how well you could play a sport or instrument. Instead, they will remember how you treated the people around you. On behalf of the juniors, we can only hope to have half the positive impact that you have had. You are the kind of people we want to come home and visit or swing by the school just to say hello. You are the ones who the students in this room will still want to see when you're home over our breaks. As you stand in the threshold of the new chapter, remember the lessons learned, the challenges overcome, and the friendships forged. Think of graduation in 2 weeks as not the end of a chapter, but rather the beginning, as you will have countless more opportunities in your life. I know all of you will have much success with whatever you do beyond high school, but it's important to remember you can always come home. The students here look up to you, as they hope to have as much curiosity, courage, and potential as you do now. Remember the teachers and all who inspired you and supported you, which you may not realize now, but in the coming months of your new chapter, you'll be thankful for everything they have done for you. You might not remember specific memories of school, but you will always remember the people and the impact they left on you. And while you are starting your new puzzle, one that is going to take much more time to put together, it is now our turn to complete our puzzle. Keep in mind that with graduation around the corner, it's the perfect time to step outside your comfort zone. Taking risks sets you up for success and allows you to find your strengths. It's time to do what you want, because at the end of the day, you won't get anything out of thinking, I should have. While as juniors, we have big shoes to fill, we are thankful we have you all, who are great leaders, to show us how we can make school memorable. So, now everyone else can take after you.
Ready to exit CCRS, you will head on to much larger things. At some point, it felt so distant and so far away, but now it is here. We are all preparing to do something great with our lives. The ideas, mentalities, and perspectives from our time here will come with us on another journey that will determine how we continue after high school. But where did they come from? The question is, what shaped us into the graduates we will be in less than 2 weeks? Well, what it was a collaboration with many. We want to recognize and thank all these people for how they have helped us from the start until now, and even for what's to come. What groups do we have to thank? For starters, there are the people who we have grown up with and see just about every day. That would be our underclassmen. Starting in first grade, we gained a new group of classes under us that will follow us all the way up until we weren't in elementary anymore. Though we may not have always been in the same classes up until recently, these grades below us have been a gigantic part of our childhood. All these classes attended our plays, concerts, and games, and they are all attending this event for us today. These are the people who we laugh with in the hallways, and at the same time, the ones who helped us through a struggle-filled junior year. It wasn't easy on them either, but they knew we were going to have some recouping to do, and they made it that much easier. The people within these grades have made great schoolmates, and many of them are teammates for us to be alongside. They are the ones who gave what they could to give us seniors an incredible final season for all sports. It isn't always easy to understand what it is like to have one last chance until you are already there, so we are grateful for those who made our year even more special. During our many years as students, the underclassmen have been a huge part of our everyday schedule, and they make it difficult for us to be leaving. Outside of the school, we have been helped on numerous occasions by a group within our town. Chazy holds others who have made a commitment to our success. That would be our community. Behind years of fundraisers and audiences that filled stands and seats are all the people that gave us the thing that was worth the most, their time. The community has always been willing to lend a helping hand, and it didn't matter who we were. The only thing that mattered was assisting all of us to give us what we were trying to look up to. And that's because what they care about is our success. Bottle drives and other fundraisers are contributed to countlessly by those who want not just the seniors, but all the grades to enjoy their years as a student.
We are proud to say that a giant portion of the things that our class has accomplished has been contributed to by tons and tons of people who are behind the build-up of each achievement. The classes beneath us, as well as our own class, wouldn't have a graduation if it wasn't for all the teachers and faculty. Our teachers constantly stuck with us during stressful work units and difficult subjects. They each had many things on their plate at home and with their own lives, but they made sure to always teach us as if everything was normal for them, even when it wasn't. They all taught us in their own ways, incorporating their own different approaches and styles. But the one thing that wasn't different, and was instead consistent, was the fact that they wouldn't let us be anything less than the best version of ourselves. Letting us figure things out on our own when we were younger taught us independence. Even if we were upset with them at the time for not giving us a direct answer, they wouldn't let us quit. They would not leave us behind. No matter how we acted or how difficult it was for us to pick up a new subject, they always stuck with us from the time when we were adding to now, where there are more letters than numbers in math. There is so much that goes on to make school happen that we don't often consider a large portion of the time. Schedules don't make themselves, and worksheets don't just get created, nor do they print and staple themselves. And behind the actual teacher work and office duties that all the faculty and staff have to complete is meetings and budgets and planning that has to happen year-round with everybody involved. And in addition to the teachers and faculty, we have those who keep the school running and clean, and those who bring us home daily. They may not teach us in a class, but they do plenty of other things that give us the proper school environment, and we contribute just as much to our success as the people that we do see all the time. In a smaller but incredibly important group, we are given a lot by our families. They're the families that pushed us through the messy rooms, the unfinished homework, and everything else we needed guidance for. They helped us learn how to be dependent on ourselves when they couldn't be there to help us. Our family showered us with items, clothing, and opportunities because they wanted nothing but happiness for us. The same reason that no matter how big or little of an issue money was, Santa always made sure that there were presents under the tree. The sports that most of us now drive ourselves to started with our parents bringing us to the rec park to play an extremely below average form of soccer. But that's not what they were there for. They were there because they wanted to support what we had an interest in, because like everything else they did for us, they knew it made us happy. We thank our families for shaping how we think and what we consider when making decisions, even if some of our decisions aren't always the brightest. Some may believe that few are the brightest, and with that, I will move on before any whisper arguments begin in the crowd, and hopefully that counts as a good decision. Over all the years, our class was joined by many who stand with me today. It is still not comprehensible that our time together is ticking down and is right around the corner. We will all disperse, some 1 mile away, some 100 miles, and some even thousands. It is going to be hard to get us all to meet again. When graduation ends and we leave the parking lot, it may be the last time we see ourselves together. But what made our years free together would have been possible without you all. We thank you. Our time here ends, but because of all of you, we are prepared to be the new kid again, just like we were in that September 13 years ago when our families got us ready and sent us to our first day of school. Every action done by the people in our lives has slowly brought up our class. Thank you to all here and not here for your commitment to the class of 2025.
remember she's getting older too. And don't lose the way that you dance around in your PJs, getting ready for school. Oh, darling, don't you ever go, don't you ever go, just stay this little. Oh, darling, don't you ever go, don't you ever go, you can stay this simple. And no one's ever burned you, nothing's ever left you scarred. And even though you want to, just try to never go. Take pictures in your mind of your childhood. Memorize what it sounded like when your dad gets home. Remember the footsteps, remember the words said, and your little brother's favorite songs. Realized everything, have the Sunday come and be gone. So here I am in my new apartment in a big city, just dropped me off. It's so much colder than I thought it would be, so I tucked myself in and turned my nightlight on. Wish I'd never grown up. I wish I'd never grown up. Oh, I don't wanna go. Wish I'd never grown up. Could still be little. Oh, I don't wanna go. Wish I'd never grown up. It could still be simple. Oh, darling, don't you ever go. Don't you ever go. Just stay this little. Oh, darling, don't you ever go. Don't you ever go. Could stay this simple.
I'm never trying hard to fortune in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question mark, it's like no real time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end that's right. I hope you have the time of your life. So take the photographs and put it in your mind. Hang it on the shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was well without a while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you have the time of your life. And tell them what they need, 'cause ain't just may run away from you. Then again, it just depends on how long the time is left for you. I've had the highest mountains, I've had the deepest pits. You can have it all, but keep moving. Take it in, but don't look down. Summertime. I'm on top of the world, with my best for a while now. I've been waiting to smile, the whole day for a while. Take you with me around there, the dreaming of this since a child. I'm on top of the world. I've tried to cut these corners, tried to take the easy way. I kept on falling short of something real. I could give up there, but then again I couldn't have. I've traveled all this way for something better. Take it, but don't look down. I'm on top of the world. May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in your being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. Or may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. I made a road less paved, be the road that you follow. Oh, well, here's to the hearts that you don't break. Here's to the lives that you don't change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all. May you keep the chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have questions and have the less stress. Having no possessions, no immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May your educatedness always be correct. And may you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. Or may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. Or may the road less paved be the road that you follow. Well, here's to the hearts that you don't break. Here's to the lives that you don't change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all. 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 Oh, I want you to have it all. All you can imagine. Oh, no matter what your path is, if you believe it, then anything can happen. Go, go, go. Raise your glasses. Go, go, go. You can have it all. I told you, here's to the hearts that you don't break. Here's to the lives that you don't change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all. 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 I want you to have it. Good times we gonna have. Always making me laugh. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it
In the back of my mind, the time we stood with our shaking hands, the crowds in stands went wild. We were the kings and the queens, and they read off our names. The night you danced like you knew our lives would never be the same. You held your head like a hero on a history book page. It was the end of a decade, but the start of an age. Long live the walls we crashed through, wanna keep the lights shining just for me and you. Let's feel it all the magic we made and bring all the pretenders. Promise me this, that you stand by me.
thy children bring thee thanks as the girls come home from the strife.
Give it to Izzy and Avery. Right. Izzy, Avery. Izzy, Avery.
Thank you.
Avery, grab the mic. Okay, use that one then. Got it.
Promise me this, no matter where you go, no matter who you meet, remember the story of us, you and me. Take in these last moments, standing together, for it is time that our journey ends with each other. But please, promise me you'll remember this. Sometimes, even a tiny glimmer of hope can grow into a blinding light that shines on the entire world. Know that you'll always have a friend in me who sees your bright light and is cheering you on, wherever your future may take you. But just please, promise me this. Decades from now, may you look back on this day and remember the memories we made and the love we have shared. But lastly, remember our story and the time we have spent. And please, never forget the light we have shed.
So as we come to the conclusion of this year's class day, we dedicate this Harvest Gold Linden as a symbol of our class and a reminder of our growth and the impact we have had on our school. Today, we dedicate our tree with hopes that its roots will grow strong, making it live long and adapt well. And though sometimes its branches will break during storms, and the tree may even fall, its roots will remain in place. Like our class, linden trees are known to be especially adaptable. The tree is considered sacred and associated with fidelity and truth. We hope each summer our tree will blossom with its strong fragrance, and each fall our tree's heart-shaped leaves will share its characteristic gold foliage for all to enjoy. In that same way, we, the class of 2025, conclude this ceremony by celebrating our laughter, remembering our struggles, and being proud of our achievements, in hopes that all of this will echo in the halls long after we are gone, just like all of the classes before us. In fact, today we are replanting the tree from the class of 2001 in order to continue carrying forward their memory, because their tree unfortunately fell in 2016. We are reminded that we are connected, not just to each other, but to those who came before us and those who will come after us as well. Each class is unique, but together we are all part of something greater than ourselves. May our tree be a reminder of this. Now as we move forward and grow from the roots we have established here, we will all head in different directions. Some of us may never go far, some of us may never come back, but no matter how far we branch out, we will always remain a part of this school and this community. I hope all of you, every member of this class, grows strong and reaches for the sky, just like our tree. I hope your individuality continues to shine and you find whatever it is you are looking for. Though each of us is different, we've all been nurtured by the same soil and share the same roots. And now it's time we pass that on. In the time we've spent here, we've created a space for others, specifically the underclassmen, to thrive. May their roots now take hold and our shade offer them comfort. May our spirit make everyone feel as though they have a place here and to remember that we are better together. So as we dedicate this tree, may it live well and be a reminder of who we are and who we are becoming. Thanks to all who gave it this start. Thank you. This concludes Class Day for the class of 2025.